Sometimes you have to do that because the easy challenge is one you'll get lazy with. The big challenge gets you hungry.
Oh, how the tables turn.
That's a heavy topic.
And we need to focus on that. If not for yourself, then, do it for your children.
Black book is in his back.
Black book.
Men Talk, Black Book. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of the Conversations, and I'm the host of the Conversations 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and meal caregivers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. You're watching Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian men come together to have real, unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community. And I'm joined by one of the co-hosts, Kofi Sadat. What's going on?
Well, good afternoon, good evening, all that good stuff. I am doing
Greetings. Before we came on live, I was asking Kofi, how's he enjoying our at least one day of summer?
I am loving it. I'm loving it. Leaning into the weather, leaning into the happiness. Took a couple nice walks today, and appreciation of, I'll say, an appreciation of Scarborough. A lot of green space out here. You can get the mix of things. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Not taking it for granted, because I know earlier on this week in Toronto, we had a couple of really cool days.
Up until Thursday, sir.
Yes.
Last Thursday was chilly.
Yeah, and I think one of the days I made a mistake of not wearing a coat. And I was like, wow, it's cold out here.
Oh,
but
my.
It's all good. What about yourself? How's the day going?
Day's going fine. Was out and about, then hung out with a group of people. We hang out every week and just catch up, chat, etc. We're planning a food outing next week. And actually, you and I actually saw each other earlier on last week.
Yeah. So mentioning about food, we were at the By Blacks Food Festival launch. It was Roger Dundas and the team did a great job, right? It was a great job at a Black-owned brewery.
Yes.
And very impressive.
Mascot brewery, yes.
And to, see a lot of nice, good food vendors out there, delicious food. The event was, great job. It was my first time going there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was really impressed just with the, the layout, the vibe, seeing you there and some other folks. So it was nice. What was your take on the event? I know that you were.
Well, I've been to each one of the Restaurant Week kickoffs from its incision. It was really nice. At first, I thought, man, it's all the way out in the West End, but you know what? It's Black owned.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's Black owned, which is it's not the first time I've been at that space. Roger and Camille, and actually another thing, their whole family was there. Roger, Camille, Chase, and Marley were there, and also Camille's mother. So it was a true family affair. This year they didn't have it, but last year was it the last event they had there? Marley was taking tickets, and Chase was doing the photography.
Wow, it's a family affair.
Full family affair. It was really great. Yes, it was, but there were so many people that I hadn't met before, and there were people I had only seen on screen.
Yes.
And meeting them in person. There were people I hadn't seen them in. I hadn't seen Chef Karina in an hour.
That's my girl.
Like someone just came up to me and hugged me. I go, all right, Chef Karima, how are you?
Yeah. Bigging up Chef Karima. I saw her in the neighborhood the other day, in my neighborhood, getting a haircut. Her food is wonderful, right? So yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of vendors there that I had encountered before, like Steve Byfield from Byfield Winery. I interviewed him on the show years ago.
Wow.
Very early in his sommelier journey. And he has his own winery based in the Niagara Falls region.
Yes.
I'll mention his name. If I don't mention your name, it's my head.
Okay.
My heart. Great to see Emma Ansa, who's a great fellow online broadcaster there. We had never met before, and her partner, Carlos Morgan. People
Mhm.
know that name,
Okay, yeah.
right? For many years. Chef Brie, amazing stuff. The ladies from Sugarcane, amazing
Yeah.
stuff. Ella's Kitchen,
Mhm.
Frontlines, the lady right at the front who did her black cake.
Yes, yes, yes.
And there's a this again. This is, I guess, if there's a story recently that's just making my shake my head. She actually has her black cake distributed on Timu.
Nice. And also the oh, I think you're forgetting the rum punch people. The
Yes, can't remember the company's name, but I had them on with Roger. So about 7 or 8 of those restaurants
yeah.
were on the Morning Vibe, which myself and Ryan Knight hosts every Monday and Friday morning. So the Friday before the kick, no, the 2 Fridays. I forget, a few weeks ago. Let me say a few weeks ago, we had one show where we had just a bunch of men who were involved in Restaurant Week, and then on the following Monday.
Yes.
Oh, we could go tomorrow. We had all the group of ladies who were involved in Restaurant Week.
Yeah.
So Chef Brie, I had heard about for many years through a gentleman named, why am I forgetting his name? Ernest White, otherwise AKA known as, has a show on PBS. Had it
Okay.
for years called Fly Brother, and he flies around the world and gets paid for
Wow.
doing filming of different cities and countries. And he had talked about Chef Brie many years ago. I'm not sure, and then I think Roger had met her,
Right.
and I'm going, okay, I know Ernest. He talks to her, but Roger met her before, so it was great meeting her. Her stuff was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. You know what? Hold on. I gotta remember the lady who does the cake's name, because
Oh,
she was Sharon Bailey.
oh yeah.
SAB fruitcake. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and I love her positioning. As right as you came in, she was there. She had
Got
front.
that sweet cake right away. Now
Right.
the only thing for me, and I'm gonna hit Raj and Camila, right? The only for me is that I am a pescatarian, mainly vegetarian, right?
Yes, there wasn't too many there was no vegetarian stuff there.
For you guys to hit all the veggie caterers, restaurants, whatever, hit up Buy Blacks because the event is amazing.
It's
Right? I would have loved to have a vegetarian option.
yes.
I mean, I know there was what you call it, sugarcane folks were doing some jerk corn,
Yes.
which was very nice. But I had to live on the bread pudding, on the sugarcane bread pudding. So if I had diabetes, my sugar would have been spiking higher than high. I had to survive on the bread pudding, which was delicious. But yeah, for sure. So all those folks who are looking to get involved in this next year, you don't have to wait for next year. Go to
buyblacks.com and reach out, and hail up to Sugarcane. Those 3 wonderful Black women have been doing that for a few years now.
Yeah. And they're Scarboroughs, eh?
Yes, and one of the ladies is married to the in-house DJ there, who was born in Chicago.
Oh, okay, nice. Hey, and talking about in-house DJ, we have to big up Juice Man. Juice Man was dropping the tracks.
Yes. I talked to Juice Man. He called me. I got to call him back. Jonathan Juice Man, was it the 3 days before? He says, "Yeah, I'm playing it Monday." I go, "Oh, where are you playing? Playing at Roger?" Yeah, he goes, "I'm gonna play like I'm in my backyard," and he did.
You miss our fellow friend Fitness IQ.
She showed up.
Yeah, she showed up, but she was dancing like anything outside. She's like, "I love these tunes." I go, "Wait till you get inside." I said, "Yeah." So the vibes all around were wonderful. I like the fact also that all the alcohol sellers were in the LCBO.
Yes.
Right? Which is, I think, remarkable.
Is it CJ Punch?
Well, CJ's Punch, I think it is.
Okay, they were part of one of the organizations I had a chance to have on the Morning Vibe, and they just was in the last month or two, got distribution in all the LCBOs in Ontario, which is the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. That is major.
That's what I'm saying. When I was like, what? I can actually get these things.
That is major, big time.
Yeah. So when I took some flyers, so definitely we will promote and let people know if you
Yeah.
want to go CBO, if that's your thing. Definitely, look out for a lot of the Black owned brands and Black Canadian brands, to be honest with you,
Yes.
right? Like, I think it's important to support. As I said, support the thing. It's important, right? Because
100%, right?
yeah, wonderful events like that. I loved it.
And there were some people I hadn't seen in years. Ray Williams of Black Opportunity Fund was there, and I hadn't seen him had him on the show in the last year or two, but seeing him in person, and I believe that people are still gravitating to in-person events.
Oh yes, oh yeah. I have to big up my brethren Mahuli. Mahuli was
Yes, I hadn't seen him in a long time either.
Christopher was there.
Christopher, yes, Christopher was there. Ryan Knight was there.
Listen, the whole
like Fenella Bruce, like it was like a big indoor family cookout, right? Indoor cookout. It was an indoor cookout with people showing up, and like and I could only stay for about I got there early intentionally.
Yes.
And I had to leave early, unfortunately, but the mayor of Toronto was there. You missed that.
Okay.
And she read a proclamation to buy blacks, and she was saying, "Everyone, buy black, buy black, buy." She said that, and I'm hoping
she sure what she was saying, but yeah,
she was. But yeah, lots.
Yeah, really good.
Other people, so it was a great event.
Yeah, and like I said, it was interesting that I ran into Roger. We were sharing being on a panel for some high school students.
Yes.
York Region Catholic District School Board. So it's just random, and he's telling me about the event. I'm like, you know what? I will come out.
Oh, right? Man, it was good. It was, hail up Roger and Camille Dundas. I've been blessed and honored to know them for many years. I knew them before they were married.
Right.
And I knew them when they were dating. So we go back a bit, but always do anything for them and their family, anywhere, anytime. So past that, what's a win you've had since last week?
You know what? A win I had this week, I would say, is one of my best friends. We don't see each other as much because, he's in the West, I'm in the East. But, we went out randomly for his birthday on Thursday, I believe. And it was just nice to catch up, man, and give thanks for life. So for me, that was a win. Like you said, the in-person thing is important. Just to kind of say, you know what, we don't have to overplan. We'll connect. We celebrated his birthday. Talked about old times. We've known each other for like more than 20 years, that kind of stuff. So it was good. That, I felt that was a good win for myself for the week. What about you? What was your win?
Okay. I actually, one of the blessings I have in life, I sit as an advisory board member for a company that does, and I probably mentioned this on other shows, but I have to mention again, this company that I sit as on the advisory board, they are a fractional CFO company.
Oh, okay.
What they do is a lot of small and medium-sized companies can't afford a full-time CFO.
Okay, yes.
So they can hire them, and they also provide do taxes, bookkeeping, etc., and financial planning. So about 2 weeks ago, she called me and says, "How you doing, Dr. I?" I says, "Oh, not much." She goes, "What are you doing on such and such a day?" I go, "Nothing." Because what are you doing from like 2 to 7 that day? I go, "Nothing." She says, "Well, one of the companies she uses for her service is they produce and provide services online for accountants."
Okay, nice.
Right, for accountants, and they are, like most companies out there, they're integrating AI into their services or the products that they're providing. And they were coming up to Toronto for an afternoon to sort of premiere some of the new stuff they have coming down the path, and also some of the existing stuff to have people use it and give their feedback. And she asked, "Do you want to go?" Now, most people would say, okay, Dr. Vibe, accounting, which I failed my first term in university and quit, by the way.
Yep.
But I said, okay, AI and accounting. Okay, let me go and see if I can learn something.
Right.
So this event was held at the W Hotel, which is on Bloor Street, just east of Yonge. Went there, came in, sat down, didn't know anybody there. And I like going to events where I don't know people, by the way,
I love
because
it.
it gets me to have conversations with people and learn. And about 10 minutes in, this guy comes up, and a cool guy had CPA, a CPA tattoo and a heart on his forearm, by the way. And we just began talking. Of course, that's what I do. I told him this. He goes, "Wow, that is so cool. That is amazing." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I'm really happy to have you here because I want to see what's from someone who has a non-accountant mindset if they get what we're doing here today."
Uh-huh.
I said, "Sure." So 15 minutes in, I learned something.
Wow.
And what they did, so they would show stuff, and then they'd go to a Google Drive where you could upload it and then test it and go through it in real time with them there, which
Yeah,
is a great learning experience. So we did that from 2 to about 4:45.
right.
And then we went to a restaurant inside the hotel on the 11th floor.
Wow.
Get out, go into the restaurant, all windows. And you could look down and see. You could look down and
I'm not a heights person, man. That might have been
yeah. You probably not like going near the window.
Yeah.
But and I'm going, okay. But then I thought, okay, we're gonna be sitting in the general restaurant. No, you go up the stairs, there's a private dining room.
Nice. Okay, nice.
Okay, all right. And had a great time. There's 6-course meal. They gave us stuff to take home food-wise. Had a great conversation with I had a conversation for about an hour with their customer success manager. It was really interesting, but great. So I encourage people, sometimes go into environments where you don't know anybody or don't know anything.
Best, man. It's the best.
Great. The worst that would have happened that day, I had an incredible meal, but great. And they said at the end, say, "We really like your energy. We like your questions. Can we get your contact information? We want to put you on our monthly mailing list." Okay.
Right. Why not?
So that is my one, putting myself in and getting closer to share a potential opportunity that I'll be working with a number of Black men collectively and individually. But we'll keep that on the burner until that comes full force.
I want to
All
hear.
right.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I May has been a very interesting month for myself just to share. I went to the Kajenga Wellness.
I missed that totally.
Event. Yeah, it was great. So big up Ifarada.
I missed that totally.
Team, Tanika, all the folks out there that were putting the events together. Wonderful day of
I missed that totally.
Workshops and talks and stuff like that for focusing on wellness. So I was on the panel, they call the Knights Table, about with the brothers and kind of speaking about, a variety of topics and stuff like that. So one of the focuses was, the last question I remember is the whole piece around, do Black men, I guess, shy away from therapy, and then those are topics we've spoke about on our show as well, right? And defining what manhood is. But it was really good to just kind of share the space with so many people, and especially out there in Durham. So I want to kind of hail up those folks. It was wonderful, and then also mentioning that I've been doing a lot of talking and paneling with high school students from York region to Scarborough and whatnot. So
you're on tour, man. You're on tour.
You know what? I'm just trying to be in the spaces to be. I'm like I said, like you said, like even showing up in places where I don't necessarily know everybody or whatever, but I'm seeking to get to know folks that I may not know. I may not know me, but I'm just really impressed. I want to say really impressed with the way our Black students are leaning into their culture as a means for empowerment. I was with grade 7, 8 students. I've been with high school students from Durham all the way to, Toronto.
Do I have permission to interrupt? We have a comment here.
Oh, go ahead, please, too.
Ryan Knight, did someone say Knight's Table?
Listen, Ryan Knight should have been at the Knights table, man. I don't know where you were, brother, but and that's in your part of town too. But it was nice. Listen, I guess.
OMG. But no, I totally, and I saw some emails about it. I didn't. Next time.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Who else was on the Knight's Table, just out of curiosity?
There was the person that was facilitating it. I'm just going to put some of these names. The person who was facilitating was Dr. Andrew. And then we had, the old name, the old head sometimes goes. I'm going to pull it up now with the presenters.
So Ryan Knight also says, yes, we used to do car wash fundraisers with them.
Nice. Yeah, so it's kind of pulling it up. But there was a brother, I'm going to get his name, but there was a pastor. I want to say he's a pastor. He works in the jails right there in Scarborough in East Detention. And, he just great. I mean, I've known him for years. But he does some great work with kind of, connecting with our young brothers that are, in that particular predicament. But really, one of the things he talked about that I remember is that, whatever space that they use inside the jail, that he, is committed to making sure that that's like a sacred space.
Safe and brave.
Safe and brave, right? So other people were like, they may want to use the space for other things, but he's like, no, you know what? We have to make sure the energy of the space remains sacred and safe for folks. And I really love that aspect that he was talking about, right? So, yeah, man. But it was, just all around, it was a good vibe. Like I said, I'll get the folks. Some of them, like I said, I met them for the first time. I know them, but it just really was good for brothers to come together and really kind of share our perspective. And then they also had the I guess the female version of the panelists as well, by Natasha Halliday. So it was just really, I think it's just so good to see us lean into ourselves and the things that we're doing, and kind of like people were showing out, So it was good, and there was a lot of young people there as well, which is inspirational. So yeah, it was good.
That's good news to hear.
Yeah, man. Like a lot of good things,
The cross-generational conversations.
Yeah, we need to have more of that. And of course, big up Ryan, for sure. I like the whole piece around the entrepreneurship. I'm still trying to get some of our young people to lean more into that, as opposed to, always just looking for a job. But
and that's very tough these days. I mean, and I'm gonna say, for the majority of people, no matter what age you are, it's serious out there. It's really serious out there.
It is. I mean, interesting enough, like I've been seeing a lot of signs out there, of course, this time of year for hiring and whatnot. But the feedback I'm getting back from a lot of the young people is that, not a lot of people are hiring.
No, they're not.
Right. And I think that it even makes me question, between you and I, a lot of times when we're seeing jobs that are posted or job fairs or whatnot, are we really hiring folks? Or is it just to say, right? From my anecdotal evidence, right? From what people are telling me, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of hiring going on, but there's a lot of advertising for hiring. And then
symbolism. That's a very interesting point that you put out there, just to look good.
Yeah. And it also could be there's, of course, there's a lot of people that are looking for employment. So maybe a lot of people are looking, but of course, only a few people can get the few jobs that are out there. Right. So that could be part of it.
I just want to hail up someone who's just liked the conversation. Ray McMillan. All right. Good to have you in the house, Ray McMillan, down in Jacksonville, Florida. So very good. Yeah, very good to have. But he'll be up here in July as part of the Caribbean Investment Showcase.
Ooh,
Is it July? I can't remember the date, Ray. So don't chastise me. If you can put it in the comments, that'd be great. But actually, I had himself and Yannick Russell on the Morning Vibe last Friday sharing about that. But they're two incredible people. Yannick is a realist, an immigration lawyer,
right.
and Ray, he did private mortgages in his own way for almost 20 years. So he's got a lot of great expertise in regards to mortgage investments, etc. Two fantastic individuals.
Nice. So, what about the events? I believe there's an event that you're involved in. I don't know if it's coming up or it passed, but
Maybe.
yeah. I don't know if you were supposed to be on a panel, or I think it was a podcasting event, and I should remember what it was. But
The last podcast event I was part of was the one you and I were at sea. I haven't been anything. The last I've been, and I'm very selective with my events that I
Right.
go to. That one at sea, because it was really close, even though it was a broadcast, I made a short appearance.
yeah.
Make sure Black Men Talk keeps on going. I was at an event about 2.5 weeks ago with about 500 people. And there were two speakers. One speaker was the president of PCL Construction, and another lady was a performance psychologist. And she does psychology with top athletes in all the major sports in North America. And she was really good. And one of the things, I shared this with someone this afternoon. She says that one of the words we hear so much these days is confidence.
Mm.
And she said in her mind, confidence is overrated. Says, forget about getting the confidence, just do it. Just go out and get it done. And she was really, great storytelling with all different athletes in different sports.
Nice.
Was really phenomenal. And it was very engaging because she'd give a point and then she'd have a story that could back that point, that you could, oh wow, that was so cool, etc. And after the event, she hung around and she came to our table and she hung out for like half an hour.
Wow.
And it was so good. And the funny thing is, also I said, you know what? There's a show I do, would you be interested to be on it? She says, yeah, I'd love to be on it. Anything you need. So I sent her a video, thank you, middle of last week. And then was it on Friday, she returned and said, hey, she goes, love the video. Thank you so much. And I've been traveling. That's why I was delayed in getting back. She says, love to be on the show. What's the next step?
Oh, nice.
Because I host a number of different shows, and there's one that specifically would really align with her properly.
So what do we have coming up on the I guess it's tomorrow on the
Morning Vibe? Just we call it Mix It Up Monday. So Ryan and I are just gonna be on just what we're doing, what we're doing now. We'll just whatever's in our heart, just chat up, and we're very blessed because we have a family that watches online.
Right.
Within 20 minutes, they drive the conversation.
I love it. I love it.
They just drive. Especially, there's one gentleman I got to hail up. He's based in New York, called the Food Plane.
Yes. I know the Food Plane. Yes.
So yeah, because a few weeks ago we were having, I know it's a Mix It Up Monday or Freestyle Friday, where myself and Ryan, we just chatted up, and he dropped this question saying, how long have you been doing the Morning Vibe for? And I had no idea. So in real time, I looked it up. We've been doing the Morning Vibe now for over 5 years. I'm just going, what?
Wow.
I just went, what? I'm still sort of, it sort of like hit me. I'm going, really?
Yeah. Listen.
So hail up to Ryan Knight and all the people that have been supporting over the years.
Yeah.
Huge thanks. But so we're just doing that. And but
I'll be listening in.
Pardon me?
I'll be listening in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other things you want to bring up? There's some things I want to put on the table.
I just wanted to circle back to the panel of the Knights table. Some of the person that was facilitating it was Dr. Andrew Blackwood did a great job
I
keeping
know.
the
I know. Does he have a beard?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
know him.
Great
I know him.
conversation. Also, Dr. Vidal
Oh,
Regisford.
Regisford.
Yeah, he was a part of the panel.
Oh
And of
no!
course, I can't forget, and I feel so bad. My brethren, Stephen Linton. Stephen
Oh,
Linton, yes. So
that's a power panel.
yeah, and then Carter was also on as well. But it was just really, again, really great to speak to these brothers.
Oh man, what time during the day was that?
That was, well, I think it was supposed to be happening around 4 o'clock on the schedule, but things just go. I'm not sure.
Yeah, wow. I haven't seen
On that
Vidal.
time. Yeah.
I haven't seen Vidal in a minute. Andrew, I've had some conversations with online in the past, but we've never physically met. And Vidal,
Yeah.
haven't seen him in a minute.
Well, I put it out to the brothers, man. I got their contacts about coming on the show.
Yeah. If you need, drop my name because I know them. I know Vidal from back in the day from Ujima House. Used to be a consultant there. So that's where I'm
familiar. Okay, I remember him now.
That's where I know. That's where I met Vidal from.
Okay, nice. Okay, yeah. So we'll be getting some of those guests coming on for sure. I've been connecting with folks, but yeah, we'll go on. You said you had some topics, some things you want to discuss.
Yeah, I was watching a video today by a gentleman named Jason Whitlock, former NFL football player. He's done media. He used to be on Fox, ESPN, etc.
Yeah, I know Jason.
He's somewhat, I'd say, to the right in his thoughts, and he said that one of the reasons he thinks that a number of black men are weak, and his thought process was, when he's just basing on American statistics, that because so many black men are raised without a father,
right,
and they're raised by a mother, a number of them are more feminine or soft than masculine. And there was another guy who was counterpointing him, a guy named Sean King, not the Sean King a lot of people think about. This guy, brother, smokes a cigar in Las Vegas, and he was basically saying, your statistics are whack. He says you got to get out of your studio and go around and see what's going on really in life. And he's there. He's on regularly with him, but they were back and forth going into it respectfully.
Yeah.
But Jason Whitlock was saying that, that a number of black men are soft because they've been raised by mothers and there's been no fathers. They're more matriarchal than patriarchal. I was going to play the video, but I said, no, I'm not going to play the video because I didn't know what was going to be happening. But I thought it was a really interesting topic.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, that kind of got raised on the panel as well, right? Around the perception of, what manhood is and what perceived strength is, right? So, strength looking in a particular way, maybe who's the loudest or versus, silently leading, you know what I mean? It's interesting. I would say there's some validity to what he's saying in regards to a lack of male presence and therefore a lack of direct modeling. But, a lot, it's funny enough, but a lot of us know that, our sisters, definitely the ones that are doing it on their own, are very strong. And even those who are doing it in a couple, I would say that, my limited perspective, a lot of times in Caribbean households, the discipline is being done by the moms, right? The wait till your father gets home scenarios when things escalate to the level 9 to 10. But the regular discipline, right, and the regular strength that we see, I always say, so it's the perception. And I'm going to go back to say that, our perception of, or our definition of what manhood is often is clouded by a Eurocentric perspective of what men are, right? And that often is about dominance, right? It's not about, the balance of being able to be empathetic, to lead by example, to show quiet strength, right, as being strength, right? Like not to say anything, to raise one eyebrow and that's it. You don't have to go crazy. But I think a lot of the brothers like the Jason Whitlocks and those folks, the hyper masculinity and people are soft because, what I mean? For me at the end of the day is what is the end point to that conversation or that opinion, right? Like if brothers in that particular, let's just say African American or whatever he's talking about, if they were raised by single mothers, you pointing it out will not change the fact they are raised by the single mothers, right? So we'll say that the rationale is that they're soft because they're raised by single mothers. What is the outcome you'd like? Are they going to get hard because they weren't raised by the dads already? So that's not going to happen in your perception of what hardness or strength is, right? But I think again, we got to be mindful, right, around what messaging is being sent, because that message, more importantly, is being sent to the younger men, right, or the young boys that will be men, right? And is that the way we want them to be, right? So is my concern.
Let me ask you, Kofi, good or not good, what are the impacts of so many young men being raised by their mothers only? What if, you have a lot of pulse on that. You do a lot of work with young Black boys, and I'm sure some of them, I'm not going to put a percentage,
Yeah.
are being raised by their mother. What are the things you see in that young Black boy?
Yeah. I think by being raised by your mom, it's a special relationship as young Black men, right? I mean, that's not my reality, but I'm just saying from the perception and for what I've heard, right? So again, everything is limited. I'm just going to go with my particular experience, but there's a closeness, there's a relationship, there's a caring, there's an emotional intelligence that usually happens versus just a hyper masculine, be a man, so and so. I find that there's a lot more. Yeah, there's a lot more of that piece, and more importantly, it gives you that level of balance to have that relationship. Where the challenge often happens is for young men, when they're moving into their puberty stage, and then there are questions that are specific to that reality, whether it's a physical change, an emotional change, right? What I mean? A mental change, a social change that you as a young boy are now trying to navigate on, quote unquote, how I should be behaving, what I should be thinking, if you're liking somebody, and then even the physical thing, like sometimes like, he may want a rough house and you're not about that. Right. So that's why sometimes the limitations come on there. But then again, we, if possible, right? If there are other trusted men, could be brothers, could be uncles, could be community folks that can help kind of, help with that gap, it's very much possible. Or if there's a community-based program, that can help with that. And I think we've always kind of been that way, regardless of, whether you know, for whatever reason that maybe the man is not in the house, it's always important to have, same way it's important to have aunties that support you and friends that support you in raising your children. It's important that you have, the uncles and the other folks that are around. But I think sometimes that's the biggest challenge from what I'm hearing from the mothers that I've been engaging, is that when they reach that age and they're huffing and they're puffing, and they want to big up their chest or whatever, we often see it as a negative thing, but often it's just trying to find your way, right? And what does that mean? And there's some things that, like I have a daughter. There's just some things that I'm not going to be able to show her or tell her right? From, that lived perspective, because I have not been in that body, right? Or
Yep.
I have not. So yeah, so I think that's part of it. But yeah, so I think again it comes back to intentionally, us talking to our boys and our young men, and answering questions, and even I want to hail up Brandon. Brandon Hay, he called me up this week. That's another win too. Just speaking to my brother Brandon, that's been a while. He's going to be doing an event coming up around, connecting, I think, 15 older fathers and then 15 young fathers, and just having a conversation, breaking bread and have a conversation about, what is being experienced, right? Sharing the wisdom and having those intentional spaces and intentional conversations is so critical, right? It's so critical to do. So I think, leaning into pieces like that, it's very important for that to happen as well, right? So yeah, I mean, that and those and the lessons, I would say, are not just about one particular stage in life. There's a teenage stage, there's the young adult stage, but even as older men, there's a lot we can learn as well.
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I asked the question. You can put one out there if you want. I always have conversation topics going on my
For
alleged mind.
For sure, for sure. So, I mean, in terms of working, with men, what particular challenges are you seeing with men with either defining or redefining manhood?
Great question. A number of different very things. I think one of the things that comes to my alleged mind, they're confused on what their role is.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of confusion on what their role is, and nothing against the rise of our Black women, especially in the career marketplace. There's a lot of, and especially when it gets compounded with the tough economic times, that can be very challenging. That's one of the things. Some of them are just tired. They're just tired. They just need want a break. Also, if they've gone through a ending of relationship,
Yep.
having the supports for them to reach out to. Now, first of all, they have to be there in the right space to want to reach out. Then also having places, and specifically elders or other individuals that they can reach out to.
Right.
And I spoke with someone the other day. Back during the pandemic, it was a big rush. Black men were getting together online, communicating, because had nothing else to do.
Right.
We're in post-pandemic now, and I don't know if that energy is still there. And the concern I have is who's going to serve them. And also, we talk about therapy a lot, but therapy ain't cheap.
Oh yeah. We mentioned that. I was mentioning on the panel that the rum bar was our therapy back in the day. You can just get together, with a bunch of brothers, what I mean? But they laughed, but people liked it because it's like we may have to come back to something where it's a social space where we could, talk what we need to talk, but maybe we have folks who have some degrees, what I mean?
Okay,
And
you're reading my mind on something.
Conversation, what I mean? It may be necessary, but we need to be put at ease before we're even at the place of opening up.
100%.
Right? Like I was telling Vidal and these guys, like, look, man, to go to your office, lay on a couch, and open up for a brother, it seems very, clinical, very cold, right? Versus if you say, what, let's just I have some dominoes in my office, let's talk, what I mean? And let's do our thing, because you need to put people at ease before they can even feel free to to open up, right?
You've introduced so many future conversation pieces. I guess one of the things that has run up, I don't know if you've heard about the controversy with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
No.
So long story short, she's a person online that provides advice. She actually was interviewed on Shannon Sharp's show.
Oh, Shannon Sharp. Yeah. Shannon Sharp.
And also she also went on Cam Newton's show, and she's portraying herself as a doctor. And over the last week or two, people have been investigating what kind of credibility does she have.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been investigating, saying it's a big debate going on in a lot of Black American social media about, she's not I'm saying, and what has happened is a lot of people who have gone to get certification, all that in therapy, are saying, you don't know what you're talking about. You haven't gone for anything. And she's based, and it's a big conversation piece going on right now. And, you bring up Vidal or Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
The question comes up for Black men. Neither one of us have certification to do this.
Right.
Would they move further ahead with us being not certified than with a person who's qualified like Andrew and Vidal?
Right. But I think, with it, I think there's a balance that's needed. I really do. I really do, because again, there's certain things, of course, you've gone to school, you've learned certain techniques and perceptions and certain things you can do. But there are many folks out here who are having, conversations that are talking about, people's mental wellness, their being, how they feel with each other. And sometimes that's outside the clinical approach. I mean, not sometimes, many times it's outside the clinical approach. Like even if you're talking about, the epidemic of, for example, I always say within our culture, say with women who had postpartum depression and stuff like that.
Yep.
My mom was sharing that, there was not a lot of room for that, because the community would come together after you have a baby. They would make sure that you're well, you're fed, you take it. So, and you had time for your thoughts. You had time for your, you're not taking all these things on. So that may be one example of, a circle of brothers supporting, or a circle of folks supporting a brother who's going through whatever, he may be going through, or maybe, what I mean? And often that community healing piece is not, quote unquote, legitimized as, the clinical piece. So I think there's a balance that's both needed, right? Yeah.
A lot of good things you shared there in that piece, in that, and also it has being culturally sensitive.
Yeah.
One of the questions I always ask people who look like us who do therapy, and saying, hey, can someone who looks like us get good results with someone who doesn't look like us as their therapist, who doesn't have our cultural experience?
Yeah.
It's a really relevant question.
Right.
And if we're blessed enough to get either Vidal or Andrew on the platform,
right.
I'm going to say, what's different with what you do compared to something that you and I could potentially do, who don't have the certification, haven't invested in becoming a therapist?
On a related but kind of a next shift of a topic is, I know this has been going on for a long time in terms of, folks asking where the brothers are at. Because I'm quote unquote loneliness epidemic, but where are the brothers?
Yep.
And more importantly for me, what will get the brothers to come out? I went to an event. It's hosted by an African American DJ and whatnot. A really dope event. It's called Hip Hop and R&B Bingo.
Oh.
Where, so they have a live DJ, they have a drummer playing the hip hop R&B beats, and they have an MC that's basically, you're playing bingo. So they might say, Mary J. Blige or whatever. It's a cool, really cool event. But I couldn't help but notice that it probably was 85% females there,
Yep.
right? Well, this is a cool event. I think brothers would definitely enjoy it. But it made me think, as usual, what are the things that will get the brothers to come on out, right? Because a lot of times, again, some of us are, kind of
I-
cocooning or whatnot, but that would be a great conversation to have, what are the things? What are the things you would go out to?
It's interesting. I don't know if you remember it. I'm pretty sure you were at this event a number of years ago, and I'm almost sure you were at this event. We had an event at JCA.
Mm-hmm.
There were about 40 brothers in a circle.
Right.
I think you were there. I'm pretty sure. And I was asked to lead the conversation. And I had my flip chart ready. I said, you know what? Forget this. I don't want people to feel like they're in a workshop or anything like that. And I know that someone asked a question, and we, for 2.5 hours, just layered on different parts of that conversation. And brothers were sharing with each other. There was times where brothers were hugging each other because you could see some of the pain
Yeah.
that some of the brothers were going to. I'm pretty sure you were there.
Was it a Lion Circle events?
No.
Okay.
There's this event put on by, I'm pretty sure it's put on by the JCA.
Okay. Yeah.
Offline, remember, but it was a really powerful event because most of these men didn't know each other.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure Donovan Samuels was at this event.
Okay. All right.
But it really left a warm feeling in my heart that I had to kick the guys out after 3 hours. They were ready to go and go. Said, "Man, I gotta go home."
And that's it. That's it. Once we're there, we'll stay. But
Yes.
we gotta figure out what's gonna get us to come out. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about events just for brothers or brothers and sisters?
I think either one, to be honest with you, because I think, each has a different dynamic, right? If it's an event just for the brothers, there's a different way that you probably would approach the brothers. And usually I find that the attendance, depending on what it is, but the attendance is usually good when it's just for brothers.
Yes.
Right?
I will say that.
They show out, right? Now, maybe it's the event that's for brothers and sisters that is a little bit more challenge. And I'm not just saying an event that's focused, like, say, on relationships or interactions, but just generally, socially, being in the same space, right? Like I said, it could be a bingo, it could be
I love that idea.
Yeah, a skating event, whatever, right? Yeah,
skating. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Skating event. Okay. All right. Let's see.
Roller skating or whatever it is, right?
Oh, got someone saying hello on watching on LinkedIn. Keisha Wright, nice to hear you're referencing the JCA Dr. Vibe. Thank you so much, Keisha. Good to have you here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I'm just putting out there. There needs to have, well, it's already been done with people in different organizations. I'd love to see an event where all these Black men organizations get together under one roof.
Mm-hmm. We need to. I met some Lennox from is it 100 Men Strong? I think he was also at the events, Kajenga Wellness event. I think
you mean 100 strong?
100 strong. Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. No doubt, we'll make it happen. It's just a matter of folks coming together.
Keisha's coming with ideas. Says, what about events focused around dominoes?
Oh, this is it.
For some men, that will work. Not all.
Yeah.
Not all, but no. Thank you for germinating ideas, putting ideas out there. I'd like to.
I find the dominoes, like there's domino clubs, which is usually older men.
Yeah.
Right? The younger men, they're probably not going to be one of playing dominoes, but it is a good. Games for sure, right? But I think the interaction, more effort is needed to have events that are more about the interaction, of males and females, because I don't, and I mean on a social. I think sometimes the challenge is that we don't want it to be a over political kind of thing, or a relationship type of thing, but really just being in the same space as each other. I think
Mhm.
more of my focus, to be honest with you.
Makes
Right?
sense.
Yeah, more of my focus. So, but
No,
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. I want to see that happen. Like I'd like to see it at a place, a whole day men's event, whole
yeah,
day.
yeah. And listen, the
Black men.
weather's warm. The weather's warm, man. We don't have to make it crazy. Just break out the barbecue, rent a park. You know what I mean?
Actually, I love your idea about the outdoors. The outdoors thing is,
Yeah, we got to take advantage of it. We don't have a lot of it on this side of the world,
you
right?
think after the spring we've had, we got little or none. Forget
Yes,
a lot. We got just a little bit. Yeah, I'd
yes.
like to. Yeah, I'd love to see that because I know a number of years ago, you've been to what's a place down in Regent Park? What's it called?
Oh, the community center.
It has a name. I can't remember it.
It'll get Daniel Spectrum.
Yes, Daniel Spectrum.
Yeah.
Remember a number of years ago, I was asked to share at a maternal health conference,
Hmm.
and I went, and they asked me to share about fatherhood. So I go into the hall, rammed, 500 people. And I said, wouldn't this be wonderful? We could do something like this for Black men, have 500 people, bums in seat, talking about Black manhood.
Hmm.
Never forget that. And the funny thing is, after I did my session, not enough Black women came up asking questions about Black men to me. And I
Hmm.
said, there's we have if we could do something comparable
Yeah.
for a whole day Black men's conference.
Yeah. 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 So even sometimes just being in the space together is important. I mean, the conversations will definitely happen, as
Oh
we know.
yeah.
The
Oh
connection,
yeah.
yeah, man. Let's create the space to make it happen, right? So,
And I fully endorse your idea that when this happens, not if, but when it
yeah,
happens, you have a mix of young and old on panels sharing from the stage. Um, Definitely a major part of the panel has to be young and old, OGs and young on the
yeah,
same panel.
for sure, for sure. We have to make sure, again, we have that balance, right? But yeah, I mean that conversation is going to happen, right? There's no those or that opportunity is going to happen. I just think again, putting the word out there, putting the energy out there,
Just start
will
working on it.
that will make it happen.
Just start working on it. All right. So any final thoughts before we sign off, sir?
Yes, I want to big everybody up. Have a blessed week. Lean into energy. Take care of yourself. Wake up in the morning and make sure the first thing you do is you attend to yourself. I know it's so easy to, grab the phone or do whatever else. But yeah, let's take the time to, pay attention to self when we wake up in the morning. And yeah, lean into the beautiful weather that we have. And yeah, have a blessed week. What about yourself, Vibe?
Yeah, I just want to add on the good word you just shared there that folks, there's a lot of people, I'm sure everyone watching this live on or replay has at least one person that's counting on you.
Sure.
So my suggestion is in order to be good for them, be good to yourself. And that's not being selfish. It took me a while to learn that because I thought being good to myself was selfish, but it's how I'm being good to myself. And then the better you can be to yourself, the better opportunity you can be for others in serving them. Just a thought. All right. So as we start winding it down, Kofi Morris, who's not with us tonight, you can get a hold of him. Email getwellstayfit@gmail.com. Instagram @Kofi's Coach _ and also @Cosmic Wellness Group and also on Facebook @Kofi Coach. Mr. Sadat, there's all the stuff. Email nazojam@gmail.com. Instagram Mooroon, MOORE, Roon. So one of my all-time favorite Instagram handles. Also, NASA Community on YouTube and Facebook, paul.osbourne.31. Myself, I put it all in one link, taplink.cc /the drvibeshow.com, and we would love to hear from you. So email us what's your thoughts, any topics you'd like us to chat about. Is there someone you'd like to see on the program? That's important.
Importance.
That's very important. We want to see on the program. And Keisha, thank you right back. Thanks for sharing these thoughts, guys. Thank you right back. Subscribe and follow on YouTube if you're into it. If you are. So, and you can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And also got all these things coming up. All right, let's see if we can just do that. And also the Dr. Vibe Show website, the drvibeshow.com, and Paul Osbourne on Facebook. So how do we close it off here? Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both and make it better. As always, God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith and walk good. Take care, everyone.